Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, you are very much audible.
Okay, thank you. A very good morning to all of you. I, on behalf of Banarsi Dal Chandiwala Institute of Information Technology, BCIIT, welcome you all in today's workshop on cloud computing. This is an online workshop series organized by BCIIT. Let me introduce BCIIT. Banarsi Das Chandiwala Institute of Information Technology was established in year 1999, running 2 years MCA program and is approved by AICT MHRD Government of India. We at BCIT consistently conduct such workshops, seminars, and such activities for holistic development of the students. As a result, our students are placed in reputed companies on rich profiles with lucrative packages. I am proud to share with you all that BCIT is having 100% placement record of students. Now, I would like to introduce our resource person for today's workshop, Mr. Angesh Vikram. First of all, I would like to thank you, Mr. Angesh, for accepting our invitation and spending valuable time from your busy schedule. Thank you so much, sir. He is working as a senior manager for GE Digital in California, USA. He is having 14 plus years of experience in building industry leading cloud and enterprise platforms and applications. He has been recognized and awarded various times for his performance and contributions at GE Digital. A very warm welcome to you, sir. We are honored to have you here. Thank you so much, sir. Over to you, sir.
First of all, thank you, Anu, for having such a great word about me. And believe me, my journey started way back in 2002. Uh, it was a tough time for IT market. That was one of the biggest slowdown was there, remember? And I was talking to my senior. I passed out from Delhi University, Ramjas College, and I was talking to my senior that I'm planning to join MCA. And he said, really? Are you sure about it? I know people who graduated and got their degree and they don't have any job. And still, I had firm belief that that's the career I'm going to pursue. And after having all those uh, examination process, and then when there is a in the hall where you have to opt your colleges and things. I remember I went to I think every IP colleges where I want to get admission, and BCIT really stands out of it because of its infrastructure. Uh, I must say, like at that time, it had the best infrastructure and the IP, and I know I have a firm belief it's growing on that since then. And I was lucky I got selected at BCIT. We were fourth batch of BCIT. It was a new campus, new college. We were not proven into the market and a big slowdown. So everything was not in the right place, not in the right direction. And my batch, all of them were really great. Our faculty was great, and believe me, I'm still in touch. Like in California, one of our teacher, Irfan bin Omer, he's my mentor till now. So tomorrow I'm going to meet him. So it's not like we left college and we are out. We are still in touch. And you can see that I'm talking to Vanna, I'm talking to Pooja, I'm talking to Ravish, I'm talking to all of them. So we are connected. So that's how we bring our knowledge, we share our knowledge to make all of us successful. It's not only like I'm sharing, I'm also learning every day, every time. And and those are the words what you shared. It's really good. Like I'm not used to hearing that lot of good word about me. I want to make it very formal that thanks for providing me this opportunity to share something what I know, what I learn, and how things change. And I was going through the video when it says 100% placement and everything. And I want to quote here, like, believe me, it's not only words there, and it started from our batch. I can proudly say that. In 2005, we had first 100% placement, and the market was coming up, things changed, and we got 100% placement, and I'm the last person who got placed in in my campus. So, and I cannot thank that much. It was a startup. I started my career at Ramtech, worked there for 1.5 years, joined PayPal, was there for around 8 years, worked as a checkout expert, added various functionality in PayPal. If you add a credit card right now during your transaction, that whole concept was introduced by me. I introduced in one of the hackathon, product liked it, and the functionality was all about like earlier days when you used to do a transaction, you don't have a funding source, you have to go back to your account and add a funding source. And I see, no, that's really bad. I was going through the data and I see there are a lot of dropouts. And I suggested in a hackathon, it gets selected. I led, that was my very first project what I led back in 2007 and 8. And I can proudly say that when I left PayPal, that was the most used flow to add a funding source. I joined pricing team after that for around 4 years. And then I joined GE, from where my career took a rock and roll. And why I say that? So I started from a startup and then was in a very big firm, PayPal, well established, check out their expertise, then pricing. And then in one of the tech summit, I'm talking to one guy, Andre. He was a manager at that time at GE. And he was explaining me about like how cloud computing, how internet is changing the world. When we talk about usability point of view, right? Every user, when we create an application, we are targeting a user. And how many users we have? Billions of users in the world. And then he said, Angesh, you know what we are working on? We are working on industrial internet. So one user have 10 assets, like you have a phone, you have a computer, you have a smart watch, you have a smart home, you have a smart car. Everything is attached to internet. So right now you're focusing on 1 billion people. When you come to industrial internet, you are going to focus on 1 into 10. And that's only the beginning. It's a revolution. The industrial IoT is a revolution. And I would like you to join me. And that's how I came and onboarded at G way back in 2013. And believe me, from there, I get introduced to cloud computing. I understand the power about it, how it can change, what the revolution is gonna present to us. And if you go and if you read about it, even the folks say like cloud, the next big thing, because it is. And I'm going to explain you through my overall flow, why I'm talking about it, how it changed. I will tell you the scenario when back days, we used to have a big floppy. I remember even I submitted those floppy presentation. And we had a very great excuse that, okay, if I do not complete it, I simply corrupt the floppy and say, sir, I created, but I'm not able to run the floppy. So those were the excuse we used to give that I cannot submit my homework because my floppy is corrupted. Things changed. And that's how I believe that BCIIT contributed, my batch contributed. And everyone plays a critical role on it. So I will say that things will go in a right place if you have a firm belief and focus. Just be updated, connected, and it will help you to be a successful person at the end. And I'm one of the example. As I say, I was the last person to get placed. And it was very demotivating when all of your friends are placed in a very high packages and things not going well and all the stuff, right? But keep your calm, learn. There's no replacement for learning. So learn at every point. You cannot replace the learning part. So I'll not talk too much detail about it. Let's start the presentation and what we are here for today, the cloud computing, which also changed my aspect of developing thing, of of the revolution what I'm talking about. I try to prepare my presentation not too wordy, that I do not put a lot of words. I simply put topics and headings. I try to prepare as a flow, what I experience in my life. I will talk about the scenarios, what I will pick up from my day-to-day life, how things change, how I'm executing it, how I'm applying it in my current world, and how we are solving it. And why I'm saying so, currently I'm leading a team here, and I'm part of emerging verticals. So G is a very big organization if you talk about. It has its footprint in a lot of spaces, healthcare, aviation, oil and gas. But still, everyone wants to learn and explore new areas. And that's where my teams comes into the picture. We go and understand a real world problem for any client or customer. And then we see what are the deficiencies in their current process, what are the problem and how they can improve on it, what kind of solution my platform, my company can offer to them. We understand about it, and then we provide a solution. We build a solution for that from scratch. The good part in my team is all of us are very agile developer. We try to learn, understand the new problem of industry, and we provide the solution. We do not inherit a code base. We start from scratch, from zero, and we build a production quality product. And I can proudly say that my team do a great job there. No, everyone say that we can create a product, but whether it's a production quality, I can say that quality, my team get that credibility for. So that's how I'm going to do. I'm going to go through the flow. I will pick up some of the sample, how we are incorporating and applying it. And at the end, we will have a QA where you have some queries, how you can use it. If you know to want to learn something about it, we can definitely address all of them. If I don't have the answer, I'm not an expert or a guru, right? I'm not a lecturer, but if I miss something, if I have to, because I also do Googling, believe me, I can write code in any language you say, but Google is there for to help me. So if I don't know any answer, I will say, okay, I'll get back to you. I'll do my research. I'll back my answer with a credible solution or a proper answer, and I'll revert back to you rather than simply saying something which I am not sure about. So that would be the flow of my overall interview. And if you have really very abrupt, like a very pointing up a very to the point to the topic questions, you can still ask on chat, and I would recommend one or Anu, both of you, just share me those, because if it is related to the topic and they want to discuss about it at the same point, we can definitely, I'm not excluding those aspects too, we can definitely talk about it, but we will pick only the required topic, and we will, if we want, we can deprioritize the work, that okay, this topic we can talk later, or if this particular topic is not related to today's scope. In a technological, in our industrial world, we always work on the scope. So I will say, we have a scope of this today's presentation. We'll not try to go beyond it, but we will address it for sure. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Sure, sir.
So let me start sharing my screen, and let me know if you face any technical issues, because it's a Murphy's law all the time. So yeah, what I talked about, cloud, the next big thing, and it is a big thing. And once this presentation will end, very layman and a very simple word, cloud is nothing but an internet. So if you're using an internet, it is cloud. It's coming from a network, from a public network, what we are using. So cloud is nothing, and a very high level, it's an internet. And how we can define it, the cloud computing is the on-demand availability of the computer system resource. What I say on demand. Let me pick up an example. Everyone booked the ticket through IRCTC. And remember the days when we started and using the IRCTC. There was a huge queue, especially when you book the Tatkal, right? The, the load of the system grows drastically, and we have a limited resource. How we can deal those answers. And that's what we call like when we introduce the scalability, which is achieved through cloud computing. And I will talk about it later in some of the slides. So when we say on demand availability of a computer system resource, especially the data storage, your computing power, and without actively managing those resources. Like, okay, I need more CPU. There is not a person sitting behind and adding a more CPU or a RAM or any infrastructure on the place. It's already there. We simply scale up and scale down based on the demand. And believe me, this is what now most of the firm are using. And I will definitely share some of my experience, but on a high level, it's not only like cloud is not only for a big organization. It is now adopted by big organizations, startups, even the students. They use a lot. Like when I go for a new grad hire here in Bay Area, I see that students use a lot of cloud infrastructure, and that shows their understanding of the cloud and how it's changing their lifestyle. So what's today's plan? We will be discussing what are the cloud elements, what cloud components are, what is the overall cloud architecture. We'll not go in that much of detail because each topic has its own lesson and the scope. So we will go through the high level. If you are interested in knowing or want to know a particular thing, I can definitely try to answer those, but we'll talk on a high level about it. And my main focus would be 2 demos where we are going to create the cloud infra in 2 different ways and how both of the ways are solving our day-to-day life and day-to-day problem in a very innovative way. So now we know what it is. We know what is our plan for the day. So let's go ahead. The very first thing, the elements and the architecture. If we talk about the element, we have several elements, or we can say the type of cloud. One, we say private, public, hybrid, and multi-cloud. What are those? So let's start with the private cloud. It is not something like when whoever you guys have designed in the OOPS concept, the private and public functions. It's similar kind of concept where the whole infrastructure is dedicated to a particular organization. What I mean to say that in a data center, even though the resources are co-located, they cannot communicate with each other. They are very much dedicated and behind a security system so that no one else can access it. There are many examples. For example, whenever we try to design something on healthcare, we know the data are very critical and some of the data needs to be HIPAA compliance. It has to follow all the PII and PHI regulations. In those situations, we use the private cloud. Most of the government organizations are on private cloud. They cannot afford to be on public and risk their security and other aspect about it. So when we have everything like when we talk about private cloud, what is public cloud? Public cloud is what is available for everyone. Anyone can use it. If you open a browser, whatever the site you are using, as I say, cloud is internet. So whatever you're using it are on public cloud. That's why you are able to use it. Even though you are going to authentication, you are going to authorization, you have to use some firewall settings, some network aspect, but it is a public cloud. From Google, Facebook, Amazon, whatever you are doing, everything is on public cloud. And that's how it is available for all. Now, when we talk about hybrid concept, sometimes you need to develop something which have different use cases. So an application like, for example, I'll take the healthcare application. I need to present a CT scan report for a user. CT scan report contains a lot of PHI, public health identification data, which cannot be stored without any security aspect. Some countries have a regulation that they cannot store their regional data globally. In other word, like they cannot store California health system data to Europe or Europe health system data to Australia, something like that. In most of the cases, we approach for a hybrid aspect. We store some of the critical information in a private cloud. We create a virtual network from the private to the public to make sure we have a right information flowing from private to public. And then on a public, we have an overall application. Like you go to your mobile app, you log in, you see when is your appointment and all those details, which are okay to see in public. You are going and accessing all those information. But when you want to store your data of your CT scan or your heart check related information, those data is going to go and store into your private cloud. There are some, there's one more concept of hybrid. When company wants, currently most of the industrial companies are having their own network. They have their own on-prem servers, which was the case, right? So all of us have our on-prem infrastructure and we use it. Sometimes hybrid also refer to have the information which is shared between the public cloud and the on-prem server. For example, let's suppose in an automobile sector, there is a plant who is running a particular machine learning script to understand their day-to-day use case for a paint shop or their CNC machine engines. Those are their propriety. They cannot share it on public. They don't want to share those data because if they go in the hand of their competitor, they might lose the market. So they are skeptical to share those information. And we have to provide solution. What we are going to do, we create a hybrid environment. We have some of the information which is critical to the client live in their on-prem server, and some of the information which we really want to be used and can go flow to the cloud. We create an infrastructure to have a tunnel between your on-prem to on-cloud. You heard a lot about like digital twin, what it is. It have a similar kind of functionality. When we talk about digital twin, it's nothing like you have an asset and you create a digital twin of that, a clone of that asset. That I have a car, it's my asset, right? It's not on cloud, but I created an asset, car on cloud. So what is this? The car is on cloud, but it is not an actual car. The car, the physical car is with me, right? So what are these? These are the digital twin. They resemble. If I see the car, I know each and every detail on the cloud about that car. It have all the information about the car. Similarly, the car itself, if you go and check and validate the car physically, you can see the air pressure, you can see the engine status, everything on the car physically. And that's what we call digital twin. We create digital twins. And in that situation, we use the hybrid model where some of the information stays on-prem and some of this information stays on cloud. Now, multi-cloud. What is multi-cloud? When we have a scenario, it's sometimes it also refers as a kind of a hybrid, but actually it is not. When we have various public provider and I have to build an application, For example, I'm building a chat application or I'm building a game application. I see that the availability and some of the resources are really managed services are good at AWS cloud. Authentication and authorization is really good on Azure. I can use Azure Active Directory services there. Some of the usability aspect and machine learning aspect are really good on Google Cloud Platform. How I can do, I cannot get all these services here and there, right? So we use a multi-cloud approach. We use those services, we create our footprint in Google Cloud, Amazon, and Azure. And then we use them, we interact, we build infrastructure around them so that we can achieve our use case. So that's how we build a multi-cloud infrastructure so that we can achieve that. If I talk about like when we go and talk to any industrial company, right? Anyone in the world always do not prefer to go for a change if they have a working system which is working perfectly for 20, 30, 40 years, right? So for example, you go in an industrial company, understand their problem, and you talk about it. Okay, that's a good solution. We have an efficient way to provide the solution for your problem. And then we say, okay, but you have to change your workflow. And the moment you talk about change, they are reluctant, whether that change will be successful or not, whether it will align with their vision or not. For example, in their day-to-day life, when they log in, they go to their on-prem. Most of them are running the Windows machine. They use their email ID and password to log in, and they feel it's secure because no one else knows their username and password. And they say, okay, when I go to cloud, I will have different identity. Like I have, instead of angesh@gmail.com, I have to enter their angesh@hotmail.com, which is really not good. I don't feel secure because I can access the same information in two different ways. To provide that kind of solution, we can build an infrastructure. We can use an Azure Active Directory and use their 360-degree authorization part. So you can still use your angesh@gmail.com as an authentication and authorize it on AWS cloud based on your authorization through Cognito. So that's the way, like they are different use case and you can achieve different services. Then we talk about, okay, why we have different, like what are the different aspects of cloud provider? Are they always different? So if we talk about it, like I have tried to, I have got this very beautiful graph, and I got it from Google. So you can definitely search it. No need to like, and it's always available. You can see, you can define it in a very broader way. Like you have compute, you have file storage, the database, NoSQL or SQL. You have function as a service, your relational database, your containers, app deployment, data warehouse. These are the basic blocks of any services what the cloud provider provides. They have a similar functionality for compute. AWS has a concept of EC2, but on Azure we call it as Azure Virtual Machine. In Google Cloud we call Google Compute Engine. For file storage we have S3. On Azure we have Blob, and Google we have Google Storage. So we achieve similar kind of functionality with a different concept. The infrastructure is same, it's file storage, but the application and the implementation is a bit different. You have to redefine it. If you understand the concept, how the blob work, how the storage work, either in S3, blob storage, or Google storage, it will be same, only the interface changes. You have to understand what the provider provides and map it accordingly. So this was all about the multi-cloud. When we move forward, talk about component, like they are very model. And they're in a broad, we say infrastructure as a service, PaaS, like platform as a service, and SaaS, software as a service, what it is. When you're using something, right, like let's suppose you're playing a game on internet, how you can define what services are being, so there are several layers. In a very broader layer, that These are derived from these three layers. You have all the infrastructure in a very basic where we call server, storage, network. If let's pick the example of game platform itself, right? When you're playing a game, as an end user, if you see the end user, they are playing, they can go and create their avatar and then they use it. They are playing it, right? They're using that application. It is what? It's a package of software where you go and install, which is running somewhere remotely and you log into it, you authorize yourself and you start playing it, you're using it. That's a software as a service. Someone provided that services to you through a software. That's a software as a service. But that someone who developed that game need to develop the game on a particular platform. It can be on Windows, it can be on Mac, it can be on Linux. It can be on a particular environment, like some database. They might be using Postgres or Oracle. So they might be using some platform services. So an application developer created a game on a platform. So the user is, your client is application developer who created a SaaS application on top of PaaS, where you get an operating system, your application stack, your server storage network, and everything. But the platform who provided them the platform, there are various platforms, like you have Heroku, you have your Predix, like for GE provide Predix for all the industrial app development. It also goes on a particular infrastructure somewhere because they need some server, storage, and network where they can have their platform, right? So like if you install a Windows is, when you install the window, it has to be on some machine, right? You need RAM, you need server, you need your hard disk and all your network card and everything, right? So that infrastructure is basically provided by your infrastructure as a service. So someone like Azure or AWS or Google Cloud, they provide you that server storage and network layer of services too. Who uses it? The infrastructure and network architect. What they do, they say, okay, we need to build a platform which will be used. For example, if I have to build an IRC, I have to provide a system for booking, ticket booking system. I want to create a platform so that anyone can come and book the ticket, right? It can be an IRCTC who wants to use my platform. It can be Book My Show who wants to book the ticket through my platform, or it can be anyone. So what kind of architecture I'm going to do, what kind of infrastructure I need. So I definitely need a load balancer in my platform so that when the load is more, they can utilize it. So they define, they architect everything, and then they generate a requirement for whatever the infrastructure they need, and which will be built by the infra team at the bottom. So that was an overall layer of elements and architecture, how cloud works. So if you pick any of them, like if you pick Facebook or Google, like how things work, you have an application, which is a client-facing application. They use that software which was built on a particular platform. That platform is stand on a particular infrastructure, which is somewhere on the cloud, in some data center it's running. What are the benefits of it? Why we do overall these things, right? So let me tell you something. Let me tell you what are the benefits we are getting right now. I remember when I talked about, like, I joined MC and everything, I have to establish, I really want to use a computer, and I convinced my parents that, okay, I'm buying a laptop. To do so, I have to go to another place and I have to talk to a vendor. I have to explain them my requirement. Then he go and he goes and he configure everything, like how many RAM I want, how many hard disks I want, and everything. So what he was doing, he was building an infrastructure for me. And I like, wow, I have a laptop. Then I cannot use my laptop. Why? Because I cannot access it. So we install Linux on top of it. I went for Red Hat. I like that system. I deployed it. It provided me a platform where I can go, and after that I can have lots of application running on top of it, and I'm using it. So to build one laptop working and running, it was days of effort for me, right? First, I have to get sanction of, there are pricing involved, right? So I have to convince my parents that, okay, I need a laptop, how many fund I'm gonna get. So he said, I have to convince him, no, I want more RAM or less RAM and everything. So there's a workflow, approval workflow. He approved it, okay. Then I have to find who is the right vendor for it. I can go to another place, I have to do shopping for that. Okay, this vendor is not giving me good price and all the stuff. Then what is the good product for me? Is it HP, or the Dell or something? Okay, I found my product. Okay, which software? Is it Windows or it's Red Hat, Ubuntu? What I'm going to install? Okay, I got it. Now I'm going to install which browser? It's Chrome, and there are a lot of approval workflow only to set up my own laptop. Now imagine a company who is running, for example, IRCTC. If I take, or if we take an example of Facebook or Google, if they have to provide that service and they need thousands of laptops, how they're going to do? Thousands of server needs to run. The overall workflow, the overall selection, how long it's going to take. Those are big companies, they might afford it. They can build whole huge data center. I'm a startup. I need 10 server to be running because now it's a Microsoft. The whole world is going towards microservices. I need to run my microservices on few servers. How I can build it? I'm a startup. I'm running low cash. I have to make sure I achieve something by spending less money. It has to be available because I cannot afford, I cannot lose my client, right? So I have to build some infrastructure. It has to be cost effective. And then I have to make sure it is available all the time. So to make it available, I need to put a resource who can maintain it. Who's going to do that? That's costly. And if I get 10 more clients, how soon I can upgrade it? How soon I can scale it, right? So things were changing. It was a dynamic world at that time. And all of these small issues being resolved by cloud computing. In cloud computing, I'm going to show you, like I can run a server on a click of the button. How? And I don't have to maintain it. Someone is sitting down somewhere in the globe. He's maintaining my server. He will be running it. If it is down, he will sending me alarms that, okay, your server is down. So I don't have to maintain it. Suddenly, if I have a growth in my business, my load is increasing. I don't have to go to a vendor shopping or get a new client, something. I simply do a button clicks and I can scale it up. I can make server 2, server 3. I can put a Docker and behind a load balancer and spawn thousands of servers. If I'm running low, even though I have one server and my application only needs to run 16 hours. Good example is a plant. If you are in a manufacturing plant, right, and your plant only run 16 hour, 8-hour shift, right? The worker comes and run 8 hours. In the night of 8 hours, it's not need to be running. So you are running 100 computer, and if your server is up, who is going to maintain that? In the night, I only need one server if someone really needs to access it. So the scaling up and down on a very flexible way. It has to be dynamic, right? So these kind of aspects you can easily achieve on cloud. So is it always good to go for cloud? Why don't we go and move forward to the cloud, right? Everyone should simply go and jump to the cloud. So there are some of the disadvantages too. when you open your door, when you write public function in your class, you are exposing it to world. And then you need an expert who can make sure that you're not leaving any loophole in your system. What I mean to say, when you leave anything on public cloud, if you leave unguarded, believe me, create an EC2, leave it for a day, and you will see the moment you create an EC2, you start getting pings from around the globe to that server, even though you just created it. How it's happening, the security aspect of it. It is secure. We are not saying that it's not secure. That's how the whole world is on cloud. But you need to build your home. You have windows, but you put gates to it. You have door, you put gates and locks to it. But if you put a very simple lock key, like 000, anyone can come inside your home. So you have to make sure you address all the security aspect of it. You have to make sure you configure your system, your infrastructure in a way you're not losing money, you're gaining. Because if you're using the infrastructure without a proper configuration, for example, you said, okay, whenever there is a load, scale up. So if there are 20 users, create 10 servers. If there are 100 users, create 20 servers. So you are scaling up, it's good, you get a power, but you forget about scale down. So at a particular day, you have 100 users, you create 20 servers, you started paying for 20 servers. You forget to scale down. At the end of the month, you will see your billing, it's highly elevated. Why? You missed to scale down. So there are aspects when you design, you really need an expert to design your infra. You need an expert to design your architecture so that you do not miss this loophole. Because when you are driving a very high-speed car, when we were in a bullock cart, right, we do not need airbags and things because we're going good. We are not worried about it. Now, if we are driving Tesla, if we are really going very fast, we need to build system around it. We need to put airbags. We need to check how secure to drive that car, right? There are other aspects like, okay, I have a Tesla, but I don't have a charger. What's going to happen? And
Mr. Angesh, you have muted your mic. I think accidentally.
is it okay now?
No, yes, it is okay. You can continue.
Sorry, was I muted a lot? Like, is it long? Since I muted?
It was just for a fraction of a second. Nothing more than that.
Okay. So let's move to the architecture. So when I was talking about the architecture, in a very overall broad blocks, you can see that you have a storage and infrastructure. You have a PaaS layer where you have services, your logs, your all the database and all the systems, what you are running, the managed services here. You build an application which is exposed to internet. There are two very important aspects to it, your management block and your security block, which helps you to maintain your overall infrastructure, overall cloud platform. So we talked a lot, and I think it's time to take a deep dive. So the very first thing in the demo, what we are going to do, we will build a cloud server. And when I talked about like during my college days, I have to get a laptop. I have to build a server. So I have to go to the narrow place. There was 2, 3, 4 days of effort to get, and then on top of it, I have to build a server from the scratch, right? So it's around a week or 10 days of effort. if I have to build a server. And if I have to put the server on the internet, it might take around 15 to 20 days, around a month for me to put a website. If I have to put a website, might take more than that. So today what I'm going to do right now, I will build a website, a cloud server with the button, click the button. So first I'm going to create a website. I'll build the server on the cloud. And then I'll talk about it. What are the various aspects? When I was talking about architecture, I talked about it like it's not only building it, you have to make it secure. How you can make sure it's perfect. There's no bug, there's no loopholes, and it's working fine. So to do so, let me show you my account. So this is today I'm going to use AWS provider, but we can use any one of them. Like you can use Azure, you can use Google provider, and believe me, like all of them provide free accounts for most of the stuff to learn. There are a lot of discounts and benefit for students, and if you really want to learn, you can definitely do it without spending a money. For AWS, if you want to create any services, use any services, there is always a free tier what you can use, which is having a low infra support and structure, but it's okay because it's only for learning purpose. It's not for production. For Google Cloud, you get around $300 worth limit credit if you want to do something, and in Azure you get around 12 months of free infra plus 200 credits. So there are some certain cloud provider which even gives you free infrastructure. You simply go learn, use it. If you cross certain limit, then you start paying for it. So for now, I will use AWS. As I mentioned, my scope is to build a website first and then look at the security aspect and other aspect of the cloud. So I'm going to do, and you can see it will be a button clicks. How? So whenever you log into the cloud to AWS, you have your account here, you have your data center, which region of the world you want to build it. So this shows which region you are. I'm building in North Virginia, North California. Let's build it on, and you know one thing. So if you go there, every region has its own pricing. So you can even think. So if you are in India, you can build a server in California. If I'm right now at California, I'm going to build a server in Mumbai. So I can pick a Mumbai server and so on. So this is the region you can take. So which region I want to build this server, right? Now, what kind of support I'm gonna get? So these are all documentation, training, get started, resource, forum. So if you are learning, this particular section is really critical and helpful for you guys. Now, what I'm gonna do, the second part is a services. So I'll click the service, and here you can start searching. So when remember I said talk about EC2. So wherever we have the compute, so you can see it's very broadly categorized, the services, compute, storage. So they have various services. For compute, you can use EC2, Lights, Lambda, Batch, Elastic Beanstalk, AWS Outpost, etc. For storage, you have S3. S3 is mostly used, but you have EFS, FSX, S3 Glacier, and so on. For database, you have so many databases to pick it up. Robotics, customer enablement, and you can pick any one of them, whatever you need it. So you don't have to start from the scratch. So let's see. Let me take the EC2. So I need a server. The very first thing I have to say, okay, this is my dashboard. I don't have any server, any instance running. So this is a dashboard where you have all the resources you're running. Simply click instance. Since I don't have, I have to launch an instance. I need a server to run my website. You can see there are various instances of the server are already available. So I can pick any one of them. For this demo, I'm going to use Bitnami. And you can see there WordPress certified by Bitnami and automatic. It also mentioned it's a free tier eligible, if this instance is free tier eligible or not. So I'll go for free tier because I just want to learn. And you can see it at the end. So I'll click continue. And then it will give me the information about each and every instance. I can select based on my requirement, what is the CPU, memory, instance, network performance, what exactly I need. So remember when I talked about it, okay, I have to find a vendor. So I find a vendor AWS. Now I need to find my server. I find, okay, let's go for, instead of Dell and thing, I go for Bitnami here. Now, what is the configuration of my laptop? So similarly, here I'm trying to select what is my needs. So for now, I'll go for a free tier, and it says if it is free, you can see. If not, if I really need some very heavy machine, I need to run some machine learning engines in it, and I can select a better performance. There are many aspects like configure instance in detail. For now, I will go for review and launch, but I will talk about all the aspects. We can configure it later, or if you really want to know in detail, we can talk about it. I will simply say review and launch. It will give what are the information, the security group, instance detail. I simply want to launch it. Let's say you have a key pair. I'll simply use, I can create an existing key pair, or I can select if I have, or I can create a new. I would recommend to have your own pair by default and what you can use all the time to avoid any confusion in the time, but you can have a dedicated key pair if you manage it well, or you can save it in a key vault. So here's the thing, and why it needed, because it's provide you a security aspect. Only the person who have the private key can access this particular system from management and managing the system point of view. So I'm going to create a new key pair. I simply name it BCIIT. And that it's saved. So if I need to access it, you can see it's saved here. And I say launch instance. So you can see the way it's informing me. It's initiating an instance, it's creating security groups, and it's trying to launch. I can see this is the system, and it's pending. The instance state is still pending, and it's still trying to build a system for me. It's a T2 Microsoft system where it is available, the availability zone, it's public domain, it's public IP. It can have an elastic IP. What is an elastic IP? Like it's give you a permanent public IP. So if you really want a permanent public IP for your server, you can have it, but you need to pay for it most of the time. Right now, our monitoring is disabled. I don't want, because these are the paid services. I don't want to have it. The security group name. So by default, it creates a security WordPress certified security group name. What is the key name is BCIIT, what I created, and when it's launched. It's launched, but still you can see the status check is not done. So we'll wait for status check. It's initializing. Once it is initialized, we can see and we can get more information about it. So by the time it is initializing, let's come and see some of the detail about this instance. In a general, what I talked about in this, it's maintaining what is the state, what is the VPC, what is the subnet. These are all network related. So if you are aware about subnet and VPNs, you can definitely know about it. So there's the private network for this. There is a subnet within this network, which is being used to design this infrastructure. What was the infra, which provides all the infrastructure detail about it. That it is an instance type, your network information. What is the platform? So it gives the platform aspect of it. And then AMI name, what the services that's being run there, what is the key pair information, all the other information, who owns it, and so on. So this gives a very high level detail of this particular instance. The second is the security aspect, which is very critical. And why it is? Because it gives you the information who can access it. Right now it is available for all. But let's suppose, since I'm running a web server here, so I want it to be available for all of them. I don't want to restrict my web server. But who can access this particular system, right? I want to restrict that. You security group. And we can see edit inbound route, HTTPS, it's open for all. To access a website, we need to go use the SSH and go to the server. I want to restrict that. You cannot come in the server until unless I want you to have a particular specific IP address. So I'm using my IP address. This is my IP address, and I don't want it to be used. Or a particular IP address, my office IP address, something like that. Then after this, you can access the website from everywhere, but to do the SSH, you need to come to my home to access it. If I want to whitelist certain IP addresses, I can do that. There are certain aspects, like other aspect of, we can add several rules. You can ask like ICMP, or you can, I will show you some of them, but there are many aspects about it, like RDP, remote desktop protocol, how you can set that, the PostgreSQL, there are elastic graphics. So you can see that there are several aspects of the security group associated with that particular instance. So when I come here, I can see all the status check is good. I will select that instance, and then I'll go to action. I'll come monitor and troubleshoot and get the system log. Why I have to do so? Because I know for Bitnami instances, they create a random user login, and that user login gets stored into the system log. I will use this now. So I have this particular information, and you will see how simple it is. This is my IP address, right? I can enter this IP address, and you can see my website is up and running within button of clicks. Like earlier, I mentioned you, to come to this stage, I have to go through around 20 to 30 days. Now, in a click of button, I can create a blog website with no hassles, right? Now, it also has some authentication, like I can log in, and you can see that through the login information. I can log to the dashboard of that particular website, and I can manage it. So this is the SaaS. Someone, Bitnami, created a website creating, and it's a managed service. I don't have to worry about it. He provides me all the information, like homepage. If I have to customize something, I can do that, all of them, right? And I can visit the site. I can customize it based on my requirement, right? So it's so simple for me. I don't have to do any hassles about it. I can simply pick whatever I want to put into the user blog name. I can say simply published, and You can see the BCIIT block. So simple, I don't have to worry anything about it. Other aspect, what I talked about it, right? And if you want, I'll simply, for the timing, I'll keep this website up for the event, and you can ping it. But if I try to ping this IP address, it do not work for me. Why? Because of the security aspect. Even though I can hit it from the browser, but I cannot get it there. The reason? I have to go security. I have to open some port, some security rules for it. I can do an edit inbound. I can say, let allow the ping to all anywhere. So they can at least do a ping. But allow it to anyone, it's risky. I can simply go back and move it for everyone. I can say only to my IP address. Save. Now I'm able to ping myself because I'm using it from my home address, but no one in the world can ping this and they can know about this server. So there are certain aspects. You can see I built an overall website on the fly from zero. I get the approval. It means it's a free tier. I found the place and the vendor, AWS. I find the Bitnami is like a Dell or HP laptop. I get what the configuration I wanted. I bought it to my home. I built the whole web. I found which server I'm going to put or OS I'm going to put. I built the whole website. I found a network like I connected to the network and my website is up. The whole 30 days of effort in few button click with the net security aspect of it. No one can access it. No one can get the details what they should not be getting it with all the abstraction layer involved in it. So that was the first part of the demo. And so if that was the overall cloud server. But what about the second part of the demo? We call it a serverless. Why we need to build a server? I only want an API call, like, okay, give me a URL which work where I can send you a computed result. Like if I had a username with a roll number, I just want to know whether he's pass or fail, right? I can build a system that I want to see who get placed on BCIIT. I just want a URL where I hit with a username and I should be able to see whether he got placed or not, or what kind of campus, like who is coming tomorrow for the campus. I just want one thing. For that, why I need to build a whole server? I need to maintain the whole server. Why should I pay for whole server? So the serverless concept comes into the picture, that you don't have to worry anything about it. The platform take care of it. They maintain the server, they create the server, and you only need to write a function. You only need a functionality from it, and that's it. How we are going to do it? Again, it's a click of a button with few services. So now we come back. We have created a service. I will leave this website up for today. If you really want to see, and you can, I would recommend you should go and build your own website. Just play around it. For that, so what I need to do if I have to go for a serverless, first I need a URL, right? Where I'm going to hit. To do that, there is a managed service, API gateway, because I need an API, right? I need to go and create an API there. So this is first thing I need. I have to put some functionality. I'll go there and I'll create a function which simply go do something like getting the result or calculating a math formation. So I only need a functionality. I don't have to run a whole server to get a functionality. I'm not running a website. So I will say, okay, I simply say BCIIT. I can select whatever the language I want. If I'm comfortable in Java, if I'm comfortable in Node and Python, whatever I can simply select that, say create function. There are many advanced settings to it, like what kind of role for this function, like what kind of resources it can use, whether it can be used for accessing it from S3 blob or public storage or something like that, or is there any trigger attached with it? So we can put any of the information related to that. So it created me a function which say hello from BCIIT, right? And we simply say deploy. So I created a function which simple do nothing. It's returning a code right now, but we can put any functionality there. Now in API gateway, when we come to API gateway, I need a URL to access through which I can access it, right? What I need, I can build an HTTP API, WebSocket, REST API, like we can public and private. So for now, we will simply select on REST API public, but based on the use case, you can go and build any of them. We can take an example to learn more about it. For now, we will simply use a new. Right? We create an API. The API is created, but what now? I have to create a method called get, because I want to get some information. I can have many methods like delete, options, patch, post, put. For now, I'll simply use the get method. Okay, whenever someone is going to call method, is what kind of functionality is going to take. So we will remember we created a Lambda function, so it's connected. We simply want to invoke. Someone is calling get something for BCIIT API. It will call the BCIIT Lambda functions. I can save. Right? It have all the other aspects. What are the other aspects like auth? If you really want to put behind an authorization, if you want to put what kind of response it's going to be, what kind of integration, like you want some parameter, like, okay, for this URL, who is the user, who is the roll number, any kind of thing. You can configure all of them. Right now, it's the flow is like whenever you call, it goes, the method request is checked for authorization, whether it's unauthorized or not. Right now it's set to none. Then it goes and integrate with a Lambda function, which call the Lambda. After that, it will build the response, integrate the response, and reply the response, right? So I built the whole function now. I have to deploy it. Here's the beauty. I just want to build it for development. I don't want to push it to production right now. Remember, we talked about a development functionality to our end client if it is not tested. So we can have development, QA, testing, UAT, at any environment, right? So we don't have any environment. So I'll create one. At BCIIT dev. It's a dev environment. for and I say deploy. That's it. Now I have a get URL. I simply take it, ping it, and it gives me the response what I have built. You can see how simple the world is now with cloud computing. You don't have to do anything. I'm not even running server. I'm simply executing one function, one discrete function, what I'm interested in. Sometimes it happens, I see several programs. I remember when we were working for one of our client, the job was he needs to build a system which simply take a result and upload it to cloud or upload it to server. So it was a very simple functionality he needs, like something is coming, simply receive it, send the JSON to a particular location. And he built the overall, like he used the Tomcat to do that. It was an overkill. So he has to maintain the Tomcat server, which takes a lot of resources to do what? Simply getting a JSON and sending it to somewhere, right? Now you don't have to maintain it. You don't have to do it. You simply run this function which receives something and send it somewhere, right? So for your usability point of view, let me share this on chat so that you can see it. So that was about serverless technology. You can see how you can scale up things on the fly with button clicks. You don't have to maintain it. It is secure. It is reliable. It's available all the time. So what's next? So I think I have explained you an overall layout and the foundation of cloud computing and what it offers to us. It's your time. If you have any question, if you really want to see something, I can show you on the fly. I will try my best. And it's a question answer session. So if you really have anything, you can ask to me.
I request participants if they are having any questions, they can raise their hands and ask the question. You can raise your hand and ask the questions, participants, if you are having any of the questions. If any of the queries related to the cloud computing, all sir has discussed.
And by the time you guys are thinking about questions, I will definitely share the presentation slide with Vandana and Anu, so that if you really need it, you can go through it. But there are very less wordings, more to understand. If you have anything you want to know, even though like offline, you can definitely ping me, or you can ping Vandana or Anu, and I can respond. So I can see the Reena Garg talked about what are the security aspects provided with the cloud. And a good question, Reena. That is one of the concerns whenever we go and talk to any of our prospect client, and they say, okay, I have on-prem server, it's running really good. Why we need to go to cloud? There are security aspect, and the most fight we have to do with their IT department, because they comes into the picture and they talk about it like, why is it really secure? Are we really securing our data? Do we really need to send this information? What are the ports need to be open? So if we talk about the security aspect, Reena, whenever we build our architecture, whoever is building it has to give a very thorough and a very dedicated mindset. What is the use case? What kind of data you are dealing with? What your application scopes are, because there are lots of dimension from the security point of view. The very first dimension is the network aspect. Whether a hacker sitting in a third world country can access my resources or not, can access my data or not. These are the network aspect of the cloud. And as I showed you, like right now, this is the IP address, and you can see my screen. I can ping it, and it's working fine. But if you try to ping it, you will not get this response for sure. You cannot even, if you try to ping this address, you will not able to see it because of the security aspect. I have blocked the rest of the world. So there are many ways. We can whitelist, we can blacklist, we can open some ports, we can have some dedicated tunnel between the cloud and the on-prem or on a private cloud scenarios. The other aspect is going up in a various like authentication and authorization. Who can access it? When you see your Google, right? You have a login ID and password. So you can definitely check that what what are the authentication you have and how you provide the authorization. So definitely in cloud, you have all the aspect of security. It's how you are design the system, make it more perfect. Any other open questions?
I request the participants to please type out their questions in the chat window. The YouTube live streaming, how does buckets work?
See, when you talk about the bucket, the containers, right? Are you mentioning about the container of on the cloud, or any specific thing you want to know about the bucket?
In general, the question is, how does buckets work?
See, in the cloud, when we talk about the containers, right? The every buckets are self-contained. When you say like I just now spun off one EC2, right? It's part, it's dedicated, and no one else can access it. It's running in a particular shell in a container inside it. If you really want to know in a detail how it works, can you elaborate exactly what you want to know? Do you want to know about from the infra point of view, or you simply need to know the definition? If you really need to know the definition, I can share it with you, but if you really want to know how from the infra point of view it's working, I can talk about it.
Who has raised can unmute himself or herself and ask the question directly to the resource person. Meanwhile, we will take some other question till that participant answer. The question is if you can elaborate more about hybrid cloud.
See, when we talk about hybrid cloud, it means as I mentioned, like we always say the private cloud and the public cloud, and we need a solution which goes on both. I will take an example from one of my experience. Like we were building a solution for an automobile sector customer. And the use case we picked up was for their CNC machine. So they run in a shift, and they have operative engine on top of it. Their overall data set size were around 5 GB worth of data per shift, and they run on a particular on-premise system. They were very reluctant to send that information on a public cloud. They really don't want to share it because of the security aspect. They say that this is our proprietary data, we cannot share it. If there is any leak of this data, they are going to lose customer, clientele. And then how we come up and we understand their problem, we build an architecture. So we need a hybrid solution here. We need something which can be run on their on-prem, gather the information from their system because they are fine in their own network environment, but they are reluctant to share that data to the cloud, right? And it's only one use case I'm talking about. There are various aspects of and the use case of the hybrid cloud. So what we did, we run their data and we build a part of analytical system on their system, which consume all the data, refactor it, encrypt it. Now we have encrypted data, which is almost aggregated, which is anonymized. No one can know what it is. And then we send it to cloud. So now we have two in their network, which consume the actual data, anonymize it, aggregate it, and send it to cloud. And in cloud, we consume that data, run our analytic engine, and serve it to the web client, which consume and show in a very user interface scenario to them, and which made them more efficient about how their system are running. So that this overall architecture, what we build is a hybrid architecture, where our infrastructure, our resources stand, your on-prem to public, and you provide the solution based on it.
Okay. One more question is there, sir, from YouTube live streaming. How is Lightsail different from Lambda?
Sure. And what you do when you create a Lightsail, on a button click, it creates a very lightweighted EC2 instance for you. If you see that, you simply go to Lightsail. On the fly, it takes a very particular information and build everything for you. You don't have to worry about how much process you need, how much security aspect you're gonna build on top of it. You simply, it's a Lightsail and it works fine. You don't have to worry about a lot of it. You don't have to manage a lot of things which you need to do it on EC2. So you simply say, okay, I need a Linux, I need a WordPress. What is the SSH? What is the price I want to say? And create instance, and it will create an instance for you. But in Lightsail, still you are running and maintaining the whole server. In Lambda, you are only maintaining a function. You do not maintain the whole server.
Okay. Any other queries, participants?
Today, you started with very basic and gone deep into the cloud. Really very informative and very practical session.
No, and I must say it's all thanks to the journey. It started from BCIIT and so far I reached where I am.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
thanks, Agesh. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
for
sir.
taking
Thank
such
you
a nice session. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Vandana, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable knowledge. Thank you. Meanwhile, I'll request any one of the students who are placed recently in such a pandemic situation to share their experience and give their viewpoint. Any one of you can voluntarily share your experience. That will really inspire the other students.
Ma'am, can I share?
Yeah, sure, Aisha. Please continue.
Okay. Am I audible? Okay. Hi, everyone. Am I audible, ma'am? If you could confirm.
Yeah, please, you're audible.
Hello.
So you are audible. You can proceed.
Okay, ma'am. So hi everyone. Let me introduce myself. I'm Aisha, and I am a final year student of BCIIT. So first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to introduce myself and share my experience with you all. Okay, so if I talk about my experience, I don't know from where to start because it's been an amazing journey over here, like from day one, like from freshers to attending technical and non-technical events. Like BCIT, this college makes sure that you become a complete package when you leave this college. And if I talk about the faculty members, then literally, like, they treat you like their own children and are ready to help you anytime and guide you and support you, like in any situation. So trust me, guys, they're so good. Now if I talk about the placements over here, so placements are, so we have 100% placements over here. The best thing that I like about the BCIIT is the placement sessions that they provide us for our overall personality development, as well as to make our technical concepts even more strong. Like these sessions, in fact, these sessions also help me to get placed in a reputed company. And there's one more thing. We also have Aluminized Sessions, which we have like before any company visits in our college. So we have these alumni sessions so that we can get an idea about the overall procedure of the company. So this is another plus point of BCIIT. So yeah, and as we all know that in this pandemic situation, like every sector got affected, and even in this COVID situation, our college makes sure that maximum companies visits our college, and to provide us these sessions regularly. So yeah, it's been amazing over here. So at last, I would like to thanks my faculty members, and of course Angesh sir, for that insightful session.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aisha, for sharing your experience. Definitely, it will inspire other students to reach their goals. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
And
ma'am.
any other students who are placed in BCIT recently?
Yes, ma'am. Hello. Can I speak?
Yeah, Mohit, please proceed.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Mohit, and I'm a final year student of BCIIT. Let me share my experience. First of all, I give all the credit to my teachers for my placement because I think when I think about it, the span of the last 2.5 years has definitely helped me turn into a professional. Because when I first joined this college, I didn't know much about data structures and the concept behind coding. And trust me, data structures are the game changers. They really help you understand the language by its core. Yes, self study is important, but you need to pair that with the right knowledge provided by the teachers. Then only you can understand the things better. Uh, to be honest, I couldn't even solve a single aptitude question uh, before. And it's the very first round, the key round. But the teachers always motivated me by saying that you can never fully prepare for anything, but but what you can prepare for are your weak points, and that's what exactly I did. And especially the placement session, they were very helpful because our teachers are really good and they provided us with all the question banks, and they knew what's going to be asked in the interviews. So it was very very helpful. And for us it was a very different time because for the first time all the interviews were happening over the internet due to this pandemic. So uh, in that short span of time we had to adjust, and I think our teachers played a great role in helping us survive that condition.
Great, Mohit. Would you like to say something to all the students, like all participants in this are also students? You would like to focus on some key areas they could work on for the interviews, what you all have experienced?
Yes, I think coding is very important. So if you think you are weak in coding or you are average, then you should definitely, focus on coding, clearing your concepts, solving more and more problems, and definitely data structures. They are very important. Data structures, DBMS, and all these things.
Okay, okay, Mohit, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other students wants to share experience?
Um, Hello, I'm audible.
Yeah, audible, you are correct. Please
Oh,
continue.
hello everyone. My name is Kiranjit and I am also a final year student of BCIIT. So sharing my experience in BCIIT, first of all, I would like to thanks all the teachers, like because I think it is their hard work and their efforts which have paid. So I must say that teachers here are really very supportive and they have did hard work with us. Like it's not only who have worked hard, even they have worked hard with us and they have really you whenever you need them they are always available for us. And I must say the mock interview sessions conducted for us where really helped us in building our confidence. Like we had several placement tests conducted and we also got to interact with our alumni who helped in guiding us like what all things are required to clear the various rounds of the company. And we got various opportunities because several companies visit our colleges. So I must say it was a great journey, and I would like to thanks all the teachers. It was a great experience.
Thank you so much. Now I would request all the participants to fill the feedback form carefully. It has been posted in the chat window. Please fill the details carefully as the details are to be printed on e-certificates. You can fill out the feedback form. It has been posted in the chat window. We are still connected in the meeting. If you face any issues, please do contact us. Thank you for attending the workshop. It was nice experience. Maybe you get work on more on this cloud computing. Thank you so much everyone attended this workshop. Thank you. Please fill the feedback form.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
please speak. Yeah.
Yes. Some students are attending through guest ID, ma'am.
Yeah.
Not able to watch the chat box. Please share on YouTube chat box.
Okay, okay, sure.